Hey everyone, welcome back in my small little working station, my small little atelier. I don't have a name for it yet, but I will figure it out. Today we will make some sandwiches or brioches, or how you call them locally. We call them sandwiches. Over here I got a recipe, that's for later. And over here I got almost all the ingredients we need. So first of all we start with just some normal butter. Nothing special, salted or unsalted, it doesn't make any difference to me. Then second of all we have the yeast, and in a lot of countries you can just buy them in small packages. I think it's 42 grams, like that. You also have different providers, different brands, but I don't really care. I use what I can get my hands on. Then eggs from my parents, chickens, salt, sugar behind it, and just a big bag of flour and water I get from the tap. So if you look at the recipe, this is actually it. So 750 grams of flour, 60 grams of yeast, 350 grams or milliliter water, not hot, not cold, it's something in between, to make the dough rise a little bit better. 1 full egg, 60 grams of sugar, 12 grams of salt, 120 grams of butter, and we will end up with 1.4 kilogram of dough. I always start with the salt underneath, then flour on top, and then everything else. Why do I do that? Because if you put the salt and the yeast together, they're gonna start battling each other, and the salt is going to battle the yeast and make it die. So that way I just start with my salt, flour on top as a good barrier, good protection, and then my yeast on top of that. So just like this. So I just like to start like this: salt, flour, yeast, water, and the egg inside of the bowl, and the butter and the sugar I leave behind to add a little bit later. When do I add it? Well, after I see this is mixed up somewhat nice, takes about 4, maybe 5 minutes, then I add the sugar, and then I add the butter, which I do in small cubics, and just add one at a time. So this is about 3 to 4 minutes after we started the machine. Now I'm going to add the sugar and the butter, and you will see that the dryness beneath will be solved immediately. So this has just been running for 12-13 minutes right now. I'm gonna leave it a minute, then take it out and give it another go. So you see, it's been in the machine for 13-14 minutes, something like that. But I always like to give it a go with my hands for another 2 minutes, just because what you do with your hands is always way better than just such a small machine. So just put some strength in it and give it a go. So just like this, a little bit more strength in the dough. I'm gonna put it to rest over here. Make sure you put some flour on it, and then let it rest. See, because it's a very sticky dough, it's already giving some issues. So just like that, with its ass upside down, 10-15 minutes depending on the weather, and then we take it from there. While the dough is resting, we're gonna fire up the oven. I'm gonna fire it up to 250, and this one as well to 250. So this is the dough after it's been resting for 10-15 minutes. Of course I covered it up, and now I'm gonna divide it. I take about 100 grams each piece to make sure I have small, nice, sizable portions, and I just work them away. So now that we divided them, I'm just gonna give them a light more tension in a round form. Then I'm gonna lay them just over here once again, put some cover over it, and leave them for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how hot it is inside and outside. So just all nice like this, give them a little space so they don't stick to each other. I always prefer to lay them with their asses on top, so they open a little bit more, and they release their tension a little bit better that way. And then just cover them up and let them rest for 15 to 20 minutes. So now 15 minutes have passed, and like you see, we place them nicely apart, and they're grown a good chunk. So that's quite nice. If you see, there's a lot of air inside, so that's quite good. That's what we want. So you can do quite a lot with it. Now we're gonna do the final shape. So in this shape we're gonna then let them rest so they grow a little bit, and after that we're gonna put them in the oven. So it's their final shape, so you can choose whatever you do with it, but make sure all the air is out of the product at this stage, so it can grow once again during the final rest, and then in the oven it will do a last let's say growth stage, where a little bit of air will go inside of the product, which is kind of nice, make it light and not that heavy to eat. 3 shapes I'm going to show you today. The first one is round, then we have long, and the last one I would call a ponytail. I don't know how to exactly translate it to English, but that's how I'm going to call it. So the first one, just make sure the air is out as much as possible, and then just take it like we did before and make it round once again, and make sure to put some strength, some tension on it. Like you see, they're like half the size of the other one. This one is quite squishy, this one is firm, and then we just place them on one of our baking trays like that, and we just repeat that for all the other ones. So I'm going to show one more round one. Make sure as much air as possible is out of it, and then just give it a go, and make sure there is a lot of tension in it, because that way all the air is out, or at least as much as possible. If you compare that once again, this one is all squishy, a lot of air inside. This one, totally different. So for the long ones, just once again start with releasing all the air as much as possible, just like that. And then this is a little bit more difficult for me to explain. I just go like this, you see, and then just give it a go like that. And like you see, this is the closing, and this is the top of the product. It's once again nice and firm, and we're gonna lay it on a baking tray later on. So release the air, just push it together and give it a good and sturdy go like that. So we take them, we just put them together at the top, and then ponytail, up, up, and like that. All of this needs a final proofing between 45 minutes and an hour 10, depending on how hot it is inside. But what I'm gonna do right now is I just took an egg, made sure the egg white and the yellow is mixed quite well, and now I'm gonna go over it with a paintbrush to make sure they don't dry out, and when I bake they have a nice yellow color. I'm gonna do that twice. The first time right now at the beginning of the final rest, and the second time I'm gonna do that somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes before I put them into the oven. Something you want when you do this is a good small paintbrush with, let's say, nice and loose hairs, and this is something specially made for food, so in normal cases it should be already have loose hairs on it. So just like that, to prevent them from drying out, but also to give them a nice color after they've been baked. So when exactly is the time to put them in the oven? Well, small little trick you can do. Push on it, you see it's coming back, so that's quite good. I'm gonna give them the last bit of egg on top, and then I'm gonna put them in the oven. So this is the end result. Like you see, nicely baked. Maybe what I'm gonna do next time is, instead of preheating the oven at 250, preheat it at 230, and instead of baking at 210, bake at 200, so they a little bit less dark. But apart from that, everything is very nice. That's gonna be lovely to eat. I also made, in the meantime, a little cake over there, so that's gonna taste very nice as well. So I'm gonna end the video over here. Thanks for watching, and until the next one.